I don't think everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. I truly believe that. I think most people are playing the wrong game. I wish I could go visit him and sit there and tell him, and show him how life works out and what's about to happen for him. I feel my business should be doing more, or I feel I should have this many more clients. I think most people are playing the wrong game. And what I mean by that is, look, my kids are healthy. I got the best wife, the best partner anyone could ask for. I have a great family, great support system, good circle of friends. I have the best coaches and mentors. Life is good. And that's the game I'm playing. We could get all caught up in the, how do I 1,455% increase my business? Or how do I get that 17x return on my business? But we're playing the wrong thing. And if we could slowly start to learn how to shift our behaviors and our thoughts around the things that we actually have and figure out the game that we're playing. So for me, that's the game I'm in. That's how I'm generating wins. And it's tough because when you're an ambitious person, when you have really, really high goals or big dreams of what you want to accomplish, it's easy to lose sight of those things. It's easy to sit there and look yourself in the mirror and be like, I feel like I should be further along by now, or I feel my business should be doing more, or I feel I should have this many more clients. And then you start comparing yourself to other people, and comparison becomes poison because you have no clue what those people gave up. Look, everyone wants to be Gary Vee. Everyone wants to be Alex Hormozi, and they want to be all like the Grant Cardones. They want to be those people, but they don't know what these people have to sacrifice. They don't know what these people were willing to pay. So they're playing a game, they're playing someone else's game, but not based off their rules and what their non-negotiables are. So what are your non-negotiables? So I sit there and say, look, I have big dreams, big ambitions, and like everyone else, I get lost in the mix and I start thinking, where do I stack up or how do I do things? But one thing I'm really trying to focus on, one thing I'm really trying to pull myself back into is taking inventory of what I actually have. Taking inventory of where my life is right now and the good things that I have and what am I grateful for. We live in a world where people make excuses all the time. They blame everything. My ads, I don't have money to run ads, or if only I had X, I could go do Y. Look, the truth is, I often think back to when I started my clothing brand, and I'm gonna date myself here because the way to actually sell your clothing back then was going to trade shows. There wasn't Facebook ads or TikTok ads, and you couldn't just pump a video and put money behind it and reach everyone. You actually had to go to trade shows and get in front of buyers. And I remember when I started the clothing brand, I didn't have money to get a booth. The booths were expensive. I didn't have money to get in front of those people. So what I did was I actually made postcards. I made flyers and I put like pictures of my brand on there. I put a link to our website where they could get a catalog, my email address. I took some model shoots, and what I mean by model shoots is they weren't even wearing the clothes, they were wearing blanks, and I superimposed my logos on top of them as bestsellers. Bestsellers, we didn't have any sales, but I called them our bestsellers. And I took the playbook from one of my early coaches, Damon John, and what I did was I flew down to Vegas. I stayed in a hotel. It was one of my first times traveling for business and being in a hotel by myself. And I stayed away from the trade show because I couldn't afford to stay in the hotel where the trade show was. And every morning I would walk there with a box of probably like 1,000 postcards and flyers. And I would stand outside the entrance to the convention room in the hotel where everyone was going, and I would hand out flyers to get in front of people. That was my way of getting in front of the same people, but without having a booth, because I couldn't even afford a ticket to walk the show. So I was standing outside handing out flyer after flyer after flyer. And I'll tell you, if you could do that, man, the naivete, the dream that you have to have in order to withstand looking so stupid and looking so, there's this feeling that you have of people looking down on you because they're like, man, if you have a clothing brand, why aren't you in the show? If your clothing brand is so good, why don't you have a table? And you're fighting that and you're trying to get your flyer in the hands of people when all these buyers from big stores are looking at other brands in there and you're doing that. There's something that just, it fuels you, it trains you a little bit. And I think nowadays we look at all the tools we have out there and it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm very pro all these tools. I run an agency as one of my businesses where we run ads for people, but I think we become soft. I really do. I think this created a very soft era of, hey, I'm just gonna go launch a product, run some ads, and that's gonna be my business. And people aren't willing to do whatever it takes to get it. And I hear this all the time, I've tried everything. And I asked them to name what they try, and they tried like 3 things. I tried everything, it didn't work. It's complete bullshit. No one tried everything, first of all. And when they usually say they tried everything is they tried one thing maybe a couple of times and it didn't work. I'm telling you, this sense of entitlement and the sense of softness that has happened that is really, really bad. And it creates such disappointment. I don't think everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. I truly believe that, and I'm very pro-entrepreneur. I think everyone has the right to earn whatever they want and create the life they want. But some people would be way better off if they worked for other people. They would be way happier. There's big swings, the pendulum shifts very quickly in this. And if you're not willing, like I was willing to stand outside for hours and hours and hours and be mocked and looked down upon, but still just try to get my stuff in the hands of as many people as possible, because that was the way to sell. Because the alternative was sit at home and do nothing and hope they come get me. I don't think many people are willing to do that work right now. And the truth is, a lot of times I think back to that kid there. I think back to the young me that was in those hallways handing this out. And I remember, I think back to that kid alone at night in his hotel room, deflated, oftentimes disappointed. And I wish I could go see that kid. I wish I could go visit him and sit there and tell him, and show him how life works out and what's about to happen for him. I think if he could see everything that was there, I mean, what a team we would make. His ambition, his dream, his naivete, blind naivete of willing to make it work, and my knowledge that we have right now, I would just probably hug that kid and just tell him how proud I am of him, because man, it was hard. But I often think back to that kid sitting alone in that hotel room and how disappointed he was and how deflated he was. And truth is, that's a lot of entrepreneurs these days, but they're just one step. They just got to do one more. They just got to go a little bit further, and that's where everything turns.